I'm Robin Karashik, and today we'll be talking about how young voters are tackling today's political climate. Joining me now is Nick Fasano, a freshman at Quinnipiac University, and Will Dean, a graduate student at Quinnipiac University. So I want to start off by asking, Will, what political party do you identify with, and why?
Well, I technically am registered as an independent, though I'm Republican leaning. Have a lot of disappointments with my local Republican Party, so that's why I don't register with them, but it's generally the way I vote.
Okay, and Nick, what political party do you identify with and why?
So I'm a proud Democrat. I've always believed in a strong system of Social Security, strong housing, and generally I find myself in the liberal spectrum on most issues.
Okay, so what would you say is the most important political issue to you right now?
I think right now it really comes down to assault weapons. The mass proliferation of them has helped cause a gun crisis in this country that we need to combat head on, and we need to look at any viable way to stop that, including an assault weapons ban.
And Will, what would you say is the most important issue to you right now?
Having a cohesive national identity. We've had 60 million immigrants in the past 70 years, and religion is declining at a rapid pace. Many of the things that Americans once thought of as America are no longer really common. Nobody plays baseball and nobody eats apple pie anymore.
Okay, and so are you familiar with any of the 2024 presidential candidates? Do you think that they would help on these issues?
Well, at this moment, I mean, it's pretty much decided. I think we could both agree that Biden's the pretty much designated nominee and Trump's the Republican nominee, and neither one are really keen on primarying anyone. But between those two, I think Trump would be better.
And why do you think Trump would be better?
Because I don't think Biden has a particularly strong immigration policy.
Okay, and Nick, what about you? Have you taken an interest in any of the presidential candidates?
Absolutely. I think the Republican primary has a really diverse candidacy pool coming in, whether they be exploring candidates or announced candidates. But what I'm really enthusiastic about is President Biden announcing his re-election campaign. I think the president has a strong record on infrastructure, on rebuilding our country after the COVID crisis. He's brought about a return of a strong and vital American democracy, which we saw threatened on January 6th. And he's led a cohesive administration, one that has been the most legislatively successful since Lyndon B. Johnson.
Okay, and are there any changes that you would want to see in the Democratic Party?
I think it'd be great to see the party move forward on gun issues. 20 years ago, we were a party that fought really within itself on the assault weapons ban, and I think it's time to really move forward with that, try and establish a national consensus. I think we need to reach out more toward rural voters and voters who we may not necessarily think will be aligned with us, and really work on the Democratic Party's communication.
Okay, and Will, what about you? Are there any changes you want to see in the Republican Party?
At this moment, I mean, we saw really in 2016 a real stray from the neocon wing that dominated the Republican Party since basically Ronald Reagan. And if you remember, Donald Trump got up and said to Jeb Bush, 9/11 happened on your brother's watch. And we went into Iraq and he knew there were no WMDs. And that was big for a Republican candidate. I think we need more of this populist messaging in the Republican Party if they want to see election victories moving forward.
Okay, and so moving on, Nick, how do you think young voters differ from older generations?
Well, I think young voters, as has been seen in voting records, are more liberal. I think they're more in tune with more issues that, affect us more, whether that be gun violence, whether that be housing issues, whether that be sustainability. Generally, we are more in tune with issues that affect us, and that's not to knock older voters. There's quite a plethora who are in tune to those issues, but it's important to note that distinction.
Okay, and Will, what about you? How do you think that young voters might differ from the older generations?
I wouldn't say necessarily that they're in tune. They may be further in step with the Democrat Party, but I do generally think that it kind of goes back to this, American identity crisis that we're seeing. You see older generations, boomers, the silent generation, even some older Gen Xers were really raised in this era where they could be proud to be an American, and now you have, I forget the numbers, but it's a minority of many young voters who are proud to be an American.
And really quick last question, what's one change you want to see implemented in the next few years?
In terms of legislation?
Sure.
I'd really like to see a net zero immigration policy.
Okay, and Nick, what about you?
I think we need to work on improving our infrastructure, strengthening democracy, and ensuring that we continue to build back better after COVID.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for coming in. That's all the time we have. I'm Robin Karashik. Thanks for watching.